The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
All right, everyone. Just a normal Tuesday evening. Welcome to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by the Belly Up Sports Media Network. My name is Ryan McCarthy. I'm one of the hosts of the show, and to my right, that's my right, a man who did not get fired today, Dustin Henry. Dustin, how are you doing tonight?
I did not get fired today. There was a moment where I thought it was close. We didn't have power at the building. We're trying to get the server back online. Dicey. No, I'm joking. My job, as far as I know, is still secure. So I'm happy for that. But that's more than we can say for one main person who you have knowledge of as a fan of your team, and we'll be getting into that. But after a busy day at work, I am excited to jump in and talk football with you, sir. How are you tonight?
Oh, I'm ready to get going with all the things that happened today. We had not one firing in sports, but two firing in sports. We'll get to that in just a moment. We've got a comment in the comment section already from Julie from Michigan saying, "Hello, gentlemen. Hello, Julie. Good to see you." We're going to talk about your Lions today.
Yes. I've noticed there's a pattern. The more we talk about the Lions on the show, Julie's here for it, so we'll keep it going.
Absolutely. But before we do that, we just want to remind you about our social media channels, which are as follows. On Facebook, facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, youtube.com/@NoCredsREQ, Twitter, Instagram, scarcely used TikTok @NoCredsREQ. On the podcast side, subscribe to the podcast wherever you find podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, Pandora, and get yourself notified. Hit that notification bell on Twitter and on YouTube. That way you know when we go live or there's a recording up, whether it be a show clip or the Three Rails Metro Hockey Podcast, which we recorded last night. And we're going to talk about a segment from the show in just a brief moment. If you can, on the podcast side, rate and review. A 5-star rating would be very, very, very helpful. If you're on a podcast platform where you can leave a review, leave us a review. Also, if you're on Spotify, leave us a comment. They help the show. Everyone in the comments, every comment, every review, every rating helps the show out, gets us into the internet ether, which is kind of hard to do with a lot of podcasts these days, with a lot of famous people having podcasts. And it's like, dude, just give us room. Save some room for us, dude.
Yeah.
And engage with the show. Leave a comment. We got lots of comments coming in,
for
sure. Engage with the show. Leave a comment. Got plenty of comments rolling in. If you're watching on replay, whether on YouTube, on Facebook, Twitter, or Rumble, leave us a comment. And I got the week off. It's been a tough day. It's been a tough season as me, as a Jets fan. But this sound always makes me feel happy. So let's go ahead and play that magical sound.
It's chime time.
I would say, what time is it, Dustin? What time is it?
It's chime time.
Yeah. All right, so let's start off. I'm going to start the show and call an audible here. Last night we recorded, myself, Mr. Staniel Smooth, who's actually in the comments, and Brian of Belly Up Sports, Brian Germanaro of Belly Up Sports. We recorded the Three Rails Metro Hockey Podcast, which you can find on No Credentials Required. We talked about Jim Montgomery from the Boston Bruins. Staniel Smooth broke the news about reports of him being fired based on the subpar performance of the Boston Bruins already this season. and he was released. He was dismissed of his duties today. Joe Sacco, who's the assistant coach, will be filling in on an interim basis. But I just want to play this clip. We kind of knew it was coming. Yeah, let's see if we can get him on 3 rails. Just
real time, by the way. Alex Ovechkin is now 27 goals behind Wayne Gretzky.
Hey, good for
He
him.
is 28 away from breaking it, and the Bruins are down 5-1 in Columbus. In Columbus.
Oh,
in Columbus.
No.
Oh man, that's definitely a nail in the coffin if you're Jim.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Hold
So-
on.
Oh.
Real. 5-1 final. No, I lied. It's in Boston. Oh boy.
Oh no!
No.
Oh yeah.
You might get publicly executed right outside TD Gardens.
To the harbor.
Dumpy like tea.
Going back
This
to
is the reaction of every Bruins fan losing from seeing the Bruins lose at home to the Columbus Blue Jackets.
What you have done has made God very unhappy.
A little bit of the clairvoyance is slipping over to Staniel Smooth. I'm gonna have to come up with a clever nickname for him if when he predicts the future. Right, I've got Rystradamus for you. We've got the Thunderclap, but I got to come up with something for Staniel now.
There he's in the comments. Called it.
Yeah.
He was thrown into the harbor. We tossed him into the harbor. Speaking of being tossed into the harbor, we're going to talk about Joe Douglas's dismissal from my New York Jets. The season from hell continues as a New York Jets fan. Oh, goodness. Dustin, I broke the news in our Discord chat and our Discord this afternoon as soon as the news, I wouldn't say as soon as the news came out, but a little after the news came out. Yeah. What was your initial? I'll talk about this in a moment. Because I'm going to ramble. All right. We're going to ramble. Actually, I'm going to ramble. Not you. I'm going to ramble.
I mean, I always ramble. You've spent the time hosting the show with me. I ramble a lot.
It's true. That's true. But I want to get your reaction before I give my piece about the situationship known as the general manager's position.
All right. Well, I'll keep this quick. But summarily, I don't, and this was almost my hot take of the week until something else happened. And then I said, hey, this is my hot take of the week now. But there are certain owners that are never going to realize or admit, if they realize secretly alone in their beds, that they are the problem. And the Johnsons fall under this ownership for me because Robert Saleh, you could say, okay, he wasn't the best head coach. He might fall under one of these coaches that is better as a coordinator. To me, it's kind of too early to tell, but definitely the way he handled certain situations left a little bit to be desired, in my opinion. However, Joe Douglas, from what I remember of his Jets tenure, he made moves which seemed to be moves that were in the best interest of the roster. He tried to put together a winning roster. I don't know how much control he had. I don't know how much the Johnsons overrode him. Perhaps the Devontae Adams trade. I don't know if Joe Douglas wanted to make that. But to me, the Jets fall under a category similar to Jerry Jones in Dallas, which I have repeatedly. We've made fun of Jerry enough on this show.
We can continue to do it.
We can continue to do it. But to me, the Johnsons have the same. They will never take responsibility for any of the mistakes and the failings of the New York Jets. So I was not surprised by this. I knew heads were going to roll. Expectations were high. Sky high in New York this season. And even I, with a huge caveat, I said that everything had to line up perfectly for them. Aaron Rodgers had to look like young Aaron Rodgers. The roster had to gel together. Nathaniel Hackett had to get his head out of his behind for for offense, the play calling, the defense had to play up to the potential that I think a lot of people saw at times last year. There had to be a bounce back season from Breece Hall, et cetera, et cetera. But I had them going to the AFC Championship game. And clearly I was very wrong about that. And I wish I could say I was surprised by this, but I don't think this is Joe Douglas's fault. He is the fall guy again for incompetent ownership, which will never admit that they are incompetent. And so they're always going to be there. So the GM has to go.
Yeah. Yeah, he does. I was on Snowman in the morning yesterday. I'll be on tomorrow morning as well. He wanted me on to get my thoughts about Joe Douglas being fired, and I'm going to express most of these feelings tonight because I didn't want to talk about the Jets yesterday because I had better things to talk about based on the season that they're having. But I have to give my thoughts on it because it's my team. Been my team since I was 4 years old. But I can't say I'm shocked that this was happening with 6 games to go in a loss. Clearly, this is a lost season, and you could kind of tell that Joe Douglas quit after Saleh was dismissed because it was not his decision to let Robert Saleh go. It was on Woody Johnson. He's the one who made the call to fire Robert Saleh, and now he makes the call to fire Joe Douglas with less than a couple months remaining on his contract. It's been 6 seasons, and he's had a 30-64 record as GM of this team.
Yeah, that's rough.
That includes the 2-14 season in 2020, which was one of the worst years I ever witnessed as a fan. This was in 2021 after the 4-13 solid inaugural season, and then 2-7-10 seasons after that. And we gotta count 2019 as well. That season with under the first year of Adam Gase and Sam Darnold and his seeing ghosts and having mono and all that stuff, and CJ Mosley losing CJ Mosley to a groin injury in week 1, trying to come back and then was out the rest of the year. That was the first year of that. But I thought he's had a pretty mixed. He has pretty mixed reviews in the draft, in terms of the draft and on free agency. 2022 and 2023 were 2 of the best drafts I've ever seen of this Jets in terms of the Jets, because you grabbed Garrett Wilson, you grabbed Jermaine Johnson, you grabbed Breece Hall, you also nabbed in 2023 you nabbed Will McDonald, and Joe Tippmann. And then you bring in you land on a couple free agents. You land on DJ Reed, who's been an incredible pickup. You land Quincy Williams off the waiver wire from Jacksonville, and he's an All-Pro. He's now an All-Pro and considered one of the best linebackers in the league. On the flip side, he had some wild misses with Mekhi Becton in 2020 as his first draft, official draft as a Jets GM. He whiffed on Mekhi Becton, whiffed on Denzel Mims, landed with Michael Carter. Good for him. Good for him for doing that. The whole Jamal Adams thing, but Garrett Wilson was drafted at a situation, as was Elijah Vera Tucker. Mixed reviews about Elijah Vera Tucker, but he's been hurt more than he has been on the field. But again, wild swing and a miss on, especially at the left tackle position, because he drafted Mekhi Becton. We saw how that turned out. He signs Dwayne Brown, has him for 2 seasons, basically stole a check from the Jets, and allowed Aaron Rodgers to get hurt after 4 snaps in 2023.
That Dwayne Brown signing, that was the one that confused me, because even in Seattle, when they signed him to stabilize, he was old and his skills were declining then. He was in Seattle for, I think, a couple of seasons, and then the Jets picked him up. But they did have some injuries on the O-line that season, didn't they? I think
that's the one position group that he's never been able to nail down, is offensive line, especially at left tackle, which is very important because that's the key position to protect the blind side of the quarterback. So he swung and missed on Kai Becton, Dwayne Brown, and this season Tyron Smith. And there were questions about Tyron Smith's durability coming into the year, but it seems like his skill level has gone downhill too. I think part of it is his age. The other part of it is coaching. It's just been bad coaching all around, period, at that position group ever since 2021. So he basically, and he's had personnel blunders the last 2 years. Took a wild swing at Aaron Rodgers because he knew he messed up with Zach Wilson, and he kept Greg Zuerlein in the lineup. Greg had a great year last year, and I didn't see his decline coming. Turned out he's got injuries, and he did nothing to put a veteran in at the backup position in 2023 and in 2024 at both kicker and quarterback, and led to another 7-10 season last year, and they're 3-8 right now. And all that stuff, it cost him his job. And I can't cry for Joe Douglas because he's going to be, he's still earned the remainder of his contract. This was the last season of his contract. So last year he got a mulligan. This year he had to wildly meet expectations that ownership, players, and fans alike were asking for. And that expectation was Super Bowl or playoffs or bust. Super Bowl will be great. And I'll say it, I have pie in my face. I got egg in my face. I'll eat that humble pie. I said at the beginning of the season, this team would go to the Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl, finally, in my lifetime. And now they'll have to win their last 6 games of the year to even sniff the playoffs. And they have less than a 3% chance, less than a 2% chance now, according to NFL.com, of making the playoffs in what has been an execrable AFC this year. Yeah. I mean, right now, the 7th position belongs to Denver, and they're 6-5. They're hanging by a thread with Indy right on their heels. But then you see Miami right behind them too. So this leaves, I mean, like I said, don't cry for him. He's going to get his money. He's earning between $6 and $8 million this year. He's going to get paid out the rest of his contract. And in a way, it also gets a leg up for the Jets to look for a GM, do a GM search right now. But here's my question. This begs the question: who are the Johnsons going to hire to help them find a GM?
Yeah,
because they don't have a president of football operations in place at One Jets Drive. I don't know if they ever will. And considering who they hired in the past, you had Peyton Manning give an advisor and give a heads up and say, yeah, Adam Gase is a great offensive line. What happened there? Yeah. You had Ron Wolf saying, yeah, hire Mike McCagnon, hire Todd Bowles. They're a great pair. I think they're going to be set for the future. Look what happened there. One season over 500, and you missed out on the playoffs because Ryan Fitzpatrick threw 4 interceptions against Buffalo in week 17.
Who advised them to hire Stanley Idzik as their GM? Because that was bad.
John Idzik?
Or John Idzik, yeah.
That might have been just a Johnson's move right there.
I was thinking of Stanley Ipkick from The Mask, bringing that back. All right, here we go. But yeah, John Idzik, they're like, oh, he was part of the brain trust that drafted Russell Wilson. Okay, let's hire him. Oh man. Yeah.
So I mean, who's going to help them with the search? We have somebody, I forgot who. Actually, I didn't get to research as to who, but somebody recommended Curtis Martin become president of football operations for the Jets. But does he want the job? Is there anyone in the right mind who wants to help this team?
Well,
considering with their ownership
for it.
What's that?
Is he equipped for it? Because look at Denver. They brought in John Elway to be and he didn't bring them to glory. His just because you're a great football player and you are important to the team doesn't always mean that you're equipped to like handle a position like that.
No, exactly. I mean, we see what John Lynch has done in San Francisco.
Yep.
And hey, good for him. But it's not you're not going to duplicate it every single time with these personnel decisions. But I'm just curious, like who's going to help? Who's going to want to help him with that search? What kind of hope does this ownership group have to offer to fans now after selling the fans this season that this season was going to be different from the last 15? You know, will this be a retool? Will this be a retool, or are we going to see another rebuild? And how do they this? There's a lot more questions than answers going forward right now. That is going to be a very difficult thing to answer. And I'm curious to see what the Johnsons are going to do at this point, because I'm pretty sure they're throwing their hands in the air, going, we've thrown all this pasta against the wall for so many years, and nothing has stuck. I mean, think about the last couple of GMs for this team. Mike Tannenbaum, he ran out of juice. His draft luck ran out. John Idzik was a penny pincher. He was a bean counter. So he was shedding salary left and right, and was a terrible, terrible judge during the draft. Mike McCagnon landed on one player and one player alone, Quinnen Williams. That's the only player that's the only player left from that tenure. And then you bring in Joe Douglas, who's expected to do magical things with the lineup, with building a lineup, building a future, building depth, doing all the stuff that his mentor Ozzie Newsome did before and after that. Howie Roseman did in Philadelphia. Those were his two mentors. He was supposed to do the same thing with the Jets, and it hasn't turned out. It just hasn't turned out very well. So I'm curious to see who's going to help them build, who's going to help them hire the next GM, and who's going to bring as a head coach. And this is the biggest question of all. How did they address the Aaron Rodgers situation after he stated last week he wanted to come back in 2025?
Oh man. Yeah, I don't see. I mean, he looks to me like a man who is already partially retired. Like you see it in his face, but he's saying he wants to come back. I mean, who knows? But the question I have for you as a Jets fan, Ryan, I will continue to cede the floor to you. What do they do with this defense? Because the defense, the window is closing. They still have what I think a lot of people in the NFL would say is premium talent on defense, but they've had a down year defensively. So now their stock has gone down a little bit. So I would say, okay, get rid of some of these defensive, all pros that are going to command money if they haven't already, and try to get some draft capital or some building blocks for them. But I don't know if you can necessarily do that, because the Jets defense is not in the position that many of them considered to be before the season. So
no, and part of the reason why their defense is so bad this year, I mean, it's the front four of this. I mean, they're playing 4-3, so he basically allowed. I think that the final straw was seeing what happened with the defensive line in real time. He allowed Bryce Huff to go for nothing and sign. He brought him in as he was an undrafted free agent in 2020. And he stuck the landing on that pick, because Bryce Huff was such a disruptive edge rusher over the last 2 seasons. And it was such a great year last year. And he got paid. As a result, he got paid by the Philadelphia Eagles. Went to Philadelphia. He's having, I don't know what kind of year he's having right now, but I think he's helping a defense that's still pretty good. So they allowed him to walk for free. They traded John Franklin Myers to Denver for a pack of gum. Look what he's part of one of the best defensive units in football.
yeah,
And then he traded for Hassan Reddick, and he spends half the year holding out. So he swung and missed on that situation. So
yeah.
Then you have a guy like Michael Clemens, who's not suited to play any position on the line. He's too small for the interior, and he's too slow for the edge. And he's mismatched every single time. He's been missing out on plays all year long. And it's like, where do you put this guy? And where do you put this guy? He's a walking liability on the field. So seeing what happened to that defensive line and how that became the best unit in the team defensively, and now it's arguably the worst defensive unit on that team, even with Quinnen Williams, even with Hassan Reddick. I mean, Jermaine John and Will McDonald, and we could have seen a lot of good things from Jermaine Johnson. I thought he was going to have a breakout year again this year, but unfortunately, with the Achilles tear against the Titans, we're not getting to see that. So, yeah, that position group was decimated, and you see what happens. They're one of the worst. They're one of the worst teams against the run this year, and there's a result. They're now 3-8 with 6 games to go, and not a whole lot of hope from here.
Yeah. I mean, we got a lot of people talking about it in the comments. We got a lot of people saying some stuff.
Here's the biggest frustration. I've talked about this over the last however many weeks been doing this 11 weeks. I hate that my team is constantly the running joke of the league. I'm tired of hearing it from Packers fans who said, "Yeah, we fleeced you in that trade. You got an aging Aaron Rodgers." Sick of them. Sick of hearing from them. Sick of seeing the memes from all these different media all these different media outlets, from Barstool, from DraftKings. You're supposed to, whatever. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of losing. I'm tired of the losing, and it continues. And this is just another example of that. Being Joe Douglas being let go today. So I hate it here. I'm only laughing to keep from crying. That's how I hate this year. Look, 2020 was an awful year, period. Personally, and watching the Jets. I mean, I graduated from college. I didn't get to attend my ceremony. Our vacation at Outer Banks got canceled.
Yeah.
The Jets were a crap show. This year is worse than 2020.
Well, yeah, because you had the expectations in place, and I mean, I drank the Kool-Aid. I think a lot of people did. And I think even though I'm not a fan of the New York Jets, everybody who watches this show knows the team I'm a fan of. It's still, I don't root for the New York teams. But being that I live here, you see them on TV so much that you just want. It's like remember when the Lions. I'm sorry, Julie, but do you remember when the Lions were terrible and everybody had to watch them on Thanksgiving? And each Thanksgiving, you're just like, I hope they're good. I hope they're good so we get a good game. And that's with all the primetime games that the Jets had over the past 2 seasons because of the signing of Aaron Rodgers. That's what I was hoping for. I just wanted good games because we have to see a lot of it. And especially in the New York market, if you don't have Red Zone or something like that, the Jets are one of the teams you're watching. So it's you kind of end up rooting for them. And then obviously I have friends that are Jets fans, mainly 2. It's you and Scott. Everybody knows this, but I don't want to see this. It's just like I hate because I've been there. Everybody for a lot of years, people like I remember one time my grandma got me some Seahawks gear for Christmas, and it was not when they were in the good years. It was just before the Mike Holmgren years, which even some of those were hit or miss. And somebody said to me, seriously, they were like, they're an NFL team, and I'm like, yeah, but that's the thing. People, it's tough. It's tough out there, and you've been a loyal Jets fan for many years. You're never afraid to take them to task, but your patience is admirable. And one of these years, I hope they hit it out of the park for you.
Not with this ownership group.
Yeah.
Not with this ownership group, because they're more of a talking point at parties than they are serious. They're not serious about winning football games. They're not. And they haven't been since they took over. Since they bought the team from the Hess family back in 2000. And good for Bill Belichick and Bill Parcells for seeing the light for who they were and running out the door the first chance that they had. Because you would have been part of this mess, and you didn't want to be part of this mess. I completely understand. All right, well, let's go to the comments real quick before before we move on to our primary topics of the night. I can't get to all of them because we have a lot of them in here.
Yeah, they are on fire tonight.
Yeah.
Keep it coming.
Yeah. So let's see here. Wonko saying, let's go. Dr. Lady saying, sup, cred heads.
Sup, Dr. Lady?
Wonko saying, Columbus has pro sports ball? Yes. Yes, they have two teams. They have the Blue Jackets, the NHL, and they have the Crew of Major League Soccer, who were the defending champions up until my New York Red Bulls eliminated them from the playoffs. Julie from Michigan saying the Lions beat the Cowboys 44-9 on Gerard Jones' birthday. Never forget.
Oh, we won't.
No, we won't. Stanley Smooth saying my friends at U Stadium reported a few days ago that the Jets were considering a firing of Douglas for weeks. This is going to clearly happen after the season. Clearly not. Yeah, like I said, I think he quit after Saleh was dismissed because that was a guy who he hired to bring in to change the culture. And unfortunately, the culture sucks. Culture sucks right now. Sick to keep joining us from all the way from Norway saying, I'm back by popular demand singing Stuart McKenzie's cover of Do You Think I'm Sexy with Uncle Angus on the bagpipe. Piper down. We have a piper down. Nope, wait. He's getting back up. He's just pissed. Oh, my goodness. He's also asking Mono, referring to Sam Darnold. Mono?
Yeah.
Who's that fool messing with? Well, allegedly these days it's the Hawk Tua girl.
So. Yeah, but I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not listening to her podcast though to find out because that.
He also asks, what will be the New York Jets equivalent to Madonna's "Don't Cry for Me" Argentina? You mean from Evita? It would be Adam Sandler singing "Somebody Kill Me Please" from The Wedding Singer. That's what the equivalent of that is. Oh, we also have an ad. If I don't read it, he'll have apoplexy. So we'll keep reminding you. We have an ad. You have an ad. Oh, we got it. Sick. Just call. Hold on. It says the frustrations of Ryan McCarthy are brought to you by Bad Mouth Rage Pillows. When you want to rage out and scream into a pillow, choose Bad Mouth Rage Pillows. We'll take the rage from here. And Easy Man Mattress. The best mattresses for ideal sleep and relaxation. Don't be a sloth. Be an Easy Man. Easy Man Mattress.
Also in the comments, you asked me what's good, Sick. I'm good. How about yourself, Sick? What's going on?
Yeah.
What's going on? Happy to see you.
He's also asking for a tag-along appearance. Tag-along's currently probably laying with my sister, snuggling with my sister, or sucking up to her for dinner, which was chicken tonight, rice pilaf and corn.
Hey, I feel like chicken tonight. Who remembers that? The jingle. I can't sing it. Well, stuff will happen.
I really hope I don't get suspended from. I don't get kicked off from Belly Up Sports when I'm doing this dance, which is now the hottest dance, the hottest celebration dance in the NFL right now.
Oh man!
But that started in week 11, so we're gonna actually discuss week 11 right now. We'll go first to the most entertaining game. And by the way, disclaimer: you are hearing it from two guys who didn't watch a whole lot of NFL football this week.
Yeah, we were at a local hockey game. The New York Jets could not hurt me when I'm at a hockey game. They won't hurt me this week either because it's a bye week. So, yay. They won't hurt me. But even though we didn't watch a whole lot of football, we're still going to talk about it. So we're going to go through our usual lineup here and talk about the most entertaining game. So Dustin, I've been talking pretty much nonstop the last half hour. What was the most entertaining game in week 11 for you? Well, I feel like the third consecutive week, shout out D Willie, because you picked the game that I had pegged as the most entertaining game because I was legitimately blown away by this game. But I'm gonna let you take that one, and for the sake of debate, shout out again, D Willie. I am picking the Packers versus the Bears. Okay. And here's the reason why. Okay, we all know that Shane Waldron was dismissed. and relieved of his offensive coordinating duties for the Chicago Bears. And speaking for the Seahawks fan committee, which I and Kevin Wilson and Staniel are the chairman of. Anybody's welcome, but the Seahawks fan committee, we are the triumvirate. None of us were surprised by this firing because we know what Shane Waldron did as the OC of our team. And the Bears did look a little more competent on offense, just a little bit more. DJ Moore was involved more in this game. He had his best game, what I feel is in like 4 weeks or so. He's been a non-factor, and he was finally their offense looked to be a lot of dink and dunks, a lot of screens. I'm not sure how much of that was a reaction to the defensive schemes of the Green Bay Packers. But the reason this game was entertaining is, one, the Bears looked like they had a little bit of string in their step. Rome Odunze made 2 fantastic catches on a drive that they needed to try to tie the game. But Jordan Love strikes again. I have said it all season. I'm going to continue to say it. That contract, he is not worthy of that contract, because for every nice looking touchdown he throws, he also throws a horrible interception. Jordan Love has interception problems. The Packers scored early in this game. The Bears responded with a field goal. Jordan Love and the Packers are driving down to take what would have been a commanding lead, and he throws a ill-advised red zone interception to someone who it was his first career INT, and the Bears were able to score off of that. The Bears led for a lot of this game, and then the Packers, Caleb Williams was getting it done a lot more with his legs this game than his arm, and the Packers, they drive down and they take the lead late in the 4th. Christian Watson, you want to talk about amazing catches. He made a diving catch that was unbelievable. Josh Jacobs, he was doing Josh Jacobs things. He ran, he caught the ball, he was up and down. Okay. And then Rome Odunze makes those incredible two back-to-back grabs, if I remember correctly. One of them was on a 4th and 3 that the Bears had to have after the Packers took the lead and then went for a 2-point conversion, missed on the 2-point conversion. So the Bears are only down by 1 now, and they line up for a 46-yard field goal after they get in position, in part because of these Rome Odunze catches I keep talking about. And the Packers block the kick. An unbelievable ending to this game. So it wasn't the prettiest game to watch, but there was a lot to like in this game. And part of me just likes these old-time rivalries. Is Yankees Red Sox what it used to be? No. Is Packers Bears what it used to be? I don't think so. But they still don't like each other. And it brings another level to the game. And with that, I cede the floor to you, sir.
Yeah, I guess there was some controversy over the blocked field goal by the Packers. The Bears were called for leveraging a few weeks back, and they're giving us the Cardinals when they blocked a field goal. They were called for leveraging. The Packers weren't. They look very similar. So again, this is why we need full-time referees.
Yes, I agree with you. And also, some of the Packers, apparently post-game, I missed it, but some of the Packers said, oh, we studied the tape. We could tell that he had a low angle on his kicks. We knew we were going to be able to block it. I don't know about that.
Sure, pal. Sure, guys. Oh, Lord. My most entertaining game. This is going to upset some Bengals fans, but I'm going with it because it was a heartbreaking loss for them.
Oh, my gosh.
Chargers Bengals. I didn't watch the game because I was watching the Grey Cup instead because I want to watch some competitive football. And I did to an extent, which we'll talk about on Total Football Talk Extra Friday at 5:05-ish Eastern. So tune in. No credentials required. And on my personal Twitter account, which is at whoisRyanMCC. But I was looking at the score. I seen the score line of the Chargers-Bengals game, and the Chargers had charged, no pun intended, to a 21-6 lead at the half. And I'm going, I'm seeing where this is going. I know where this is going. Part of it was the Bengals are terrible. The other part of it is, even though Brandon Staley is no longer with the Los Angeles Chargers, the stink still remains. And they blow that 21-6 lead. Score gets knotted at 27.
Yeah.
The Bengals came all the way back. Give them full credit for not giving up. But then Evan McPherson, who's usually automatic on field goals, misses.
He missed two.
He missed 2 field goals. Both of them were makeable. Indoors at SoFi Stadium, where the weather does not affect it at all. Misses those 2 field goals. The 2 teams exchange punts. Chargers go on a drive, 4 plays, and then J.K. Dobbins with 18 seconds left runs for a 29-yard touchdown and seals the win for the Chargers, who currently are in a playoff spot, which is interesting to see. Which is very interesting to say. And
Jim Harbaugh's putting his print on that team a little bit. And in the beginning, because I did watch this full game, but I too thought I was watching it while I was working. I've been very busy. But I'm thinking to myself, Justin Herbert, this is the best he's ever looked. That first half, you know what this game made me think of, Ryan? Charles Dickens, because it wasn't a tale of two cities. It was a tale of two halves, because the Chargers almost blew this thing. It was crazy.
Yeah, again, they still have that Brandon Staley stink on them. They're trying to get that off of them with Jim Harbaugh as their head coach. I think the Chargers can be a very good team in the next. I think if they draft or acquire a game-breaking wide receiver, this team can be dangerous in a good way. Because they already have a good running attack. J.K. Dobbins, come back right now, hands down.
Yeah,
he's comeback player of the year. Player of the year, coming off a torn ACL in 2023 or 2022, and a torn Achilles last year. Got sent into the wilderness by Baltimore in free agency. Landing with the Chargers, and is having the season of his life right now. So I got to give my flowers to him for having a great season so far. But yeah, if you're a Bengals fan this season, I mean, being a Jets fan is frustrating. Being a Bengals fan has to be utterly frustrating this year, based on the fact that they had this offense. They have a decent defense, but there's something missing with this team. I'm not sure what it is this year, and they've lost a lot of these close games. And I think Zach Taylor is going to be out of a job at the end of the season. They got to reestablish him. They got to reestablish their identity after this season somehow.
Yeah. I mean, and you never want to do this, but I would say that for me, the front runners to lose their jobs at the end of the season are probably Zach Taylor and Doug Peterson. You know, they got to be neck and neck with this one. You know, if we don't take pleasure in anybody losing their jobs, but you know, it's almost one of those things that it's like Invader Coffee bet, but we're not going to do that. But I mean, I think those two are the front runners in the clubhouse, if you ask me.
Yeah, for sure. All right, biggest upset of week 11, and I think Dustin, this is going to be chalk, but I think we're both in agreement here.
Yeah,
the biggest upset of this week. When I saw the scoreline, I was utterly shocked based on your worries expressed on Saturday morning. Seattle Seahawks pull off a major win in San Francisco on Sunday afternoon. And I'm not going to talk about it because it's not my team. Although I think the 49ers are in big trouble after this game.
Yeah.
We've addressed how the NFC West is wide open right now. Arizona had a bye week, but the Rams and the Seahawks gained ground on both of them. But right now, the San Francisco 49ers, who were considered cream of the crop. The cream of the crop always rises to the top.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They're out of a playoff position right now. This is incredible, but like every one of these teams, these 4 teams could be in that playoff spot for the NFC. If they could possibly win the NFC West this year, because the Rams won in New England with a bounce back game, which I highlighted.
Yeah.
And your Seahawks beat the 49ers. So I'll let you speak to it because you're a 49ers fan. I know Mr. Wilson, Kevin Wilson, he was in the chat saying, Gino,
Oh, yeah,
Seahawks. Let's hear it, Dustin. And Samuel Smooth saying Dustin Hawks got a massive win indeed. So
They did.
I'll give the floor to you to talk about this Seahawks win.
All right. Well, I'll talk about it a little bit, but this was legitimately shocking to me, which is why I picked this game, because there's another game on the slate, which I will talk about in another category, where I was equally as shocked. But this one really took the cake for me because the 49ers, the bugaboo that has bit the 49ers over the past, I mean, it's been a while over the past few seasons. Kyle Shanahan's play calling at times, 49ers fans haven't been happy with it. Some of his play calling and his decision making. But the other bugaboo that has bit them is injuries. The 49ers always have injuries. They always, whether it be their top running backs going down, their top wide receivers. I remember the one year they had like Raheem Mostert. He got hurt. They brought in Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson got hurt. They were down and guess what? It happened again this year with Christian McCaffrey. He was hurt and everything. But even with all of that, I still thought that the 49ers defense was going to be good enough. I did not have faith in the Seahawks offensive line to protect Geno at all in this game. And the return of DK Metcalf was big. Though it was big because he brought back that deep threat that you had to account for. And he had some big catches in this game. But the emergence of Jackson Smith and Jigba, you can see that the offense and Geno's starting to go to him when they need a big catch. And he is finally starting to take some of that role. Tyler Lockett, he's been a great Seahawk for many years. He is one of the greatest route runners in today's NFL. I still say that. He runs precise routes. But Jackson Smith and Jigba is starting to seize the other playmaking role for the wide receivers in this offense. Kenneth Walker, he wasn't dominant in the run game, but he picked his spots. He ran for, I believe, 72 yards. He got a TD. It was enough. The Niners are not the Niners this year. In past years, they have been able to overcome the injuries. And I don't know why, but their defense is not playing up to their standards. And they're just not the Niners, and the injuries are catching them. Even though Greg Jennings, he was open. He was open this entire game. He had a whole bunch of catches. I didn't see the full game because I was at the hockey game, but I definitely watched it. And as easy as it is for us Seahawks fans to heap a bunch of garbage onto Geno, he is not the problem with this team. As incensed as I was with him a couple of weeks ago, because those throws, and I maintain those red zone interceptions that he threw in that Rams game were as bad throws as we've seen him make in a long time. But the reason why there are a bunch of Seahawks fans that kind of rally around Geno is because then he makes throws like he did to win the game on Sunday. He has moments where if you give him time, he will carve you up. And the 49ers couldn't get as much pressure as I thought they would get. The offensive line didn't do a great job, but they did a better job than they have in recent weeks. And also Geno was smart getting out of the pocket when he needed to. He picked up a big first down with his legs. But this was shocking to me. The Niners, Christian McCaffrey was back, and he did not have the impact that he usually has on this game. My mouth was open when I saw that the Seahawks actually won this game. I stopped at Doghouse Hot Dogs after the hockey game. Somebody could have shoved a whole hot dog down into my face because my mouth was open. Okay. I was legitimately shocked, and pleasantly so. I have to say, it made my evening. Big win. Do I think the Seahawks have a chance in the NFC West? They have a chance, but realistically, I don't think they're there. I think this division is going to come down to the Cardinals and the Rams, to be honest with you, because the way that the Rams can look when Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp are on, And no disrespect to Geno, but I still give Matthew Stafford the edge at quarterback. And the Rams defense has played better than Seattle's has for most of this year. So I don't think they have it, but are they completely out of it yet? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I, for one, am loving how wide open the NFC West is because it's giving me a chance to watch meaningful football. We're entering into December here, where the stakes are about to ramp up. We're weeks away from December, and this was a huge upset for me.
Yeah, the Cardinals currently sit at 6-4. All three teams after are 5-5.
Yeah,
So
every single one.
It's anyone's division right now, and we're headed in for the last 7 weeks of the year. That's 6 weeks of the year. It's gonna be a fun ride, and it's gonna be angina inducing for NFC West fans. You being one of them. So
yeah.
All right, we're gonna take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk about the rest of what interested us in week 11, even though we didn't watch a whole lot on Sunday, but we're trying. So we'll talk more about that in this edition of No Crunches Required. Stay tuned and stand by.
Righteous Felon Craft Jerky is the official jerky of Belly Up Sports. For over a decade, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has led the American meat snack revolution by concocting delicious, adventurous, U.S.-sourced jerky recipes for uncompromising carnivores across the country. With 15 different flavors to choose from, Righteous Felon has all jerky lovers covered, and by using promo code BELLYUP, you will get 15% off your purchase at righteousfelon.com. Do your taste buds a favor today and rip into a bag of Righteous Felon jerky.
That's right, folks. Righteous Felon Craft Jerky, one of our premier sponsors at Belly Up Sports. Great craft jerky, wide variety of flavors. They don't only have beef jerky, but they also have turkey jerky right around the corner for Thanksgiving. Tastes like a Thanksgiving dinner. I highly recommend it. They've also got the air-dried biltong, which is inspired by air-drying African recipe. But they not only have craft jerky, they also have beef sticks. They're 100% beef and are not like the other ones that you find in the store, whose primary ingredient is pulverized chicken.
Oh.
Shame. Damn shame. But it's not just beef sticks. It's not just craft jerky. It's not just turkey jerky. It's not just biltong. You've also got stuff for your dog. Dog treats that are 100% beef. You've also got dog toys. Got some great gear. So here's what you want to do. And the holidays are coming. So if you want to give your loved one or a good friend a great snack, which makes a great afternoon snack for when you're feeling those little pangs between lunch and dinner, is the perfect snack for you. 20 grams of protein, high protein, low sugar snack. Go to righteousfelon.com. You order your stuff. You put it in your basket. At checkout, you use promo code BELLYUP for 15% off your order. But wait, there's more.
Ooh.
For every order over $50, Righteous Felon will pay for shipping. So combine that savings, fill up your cart with stuff, use a promo code at checkout, and get free shipping for any order of $50 or more at righteousfelon.com. Do it. Do it.
I got to get on there. I got to get on there because I have a dog nephew. Christmas is coming up. I got to get him some treats. He doesn't make show appearances as frequently as Tagalong does, but sometimes if Pickles is staying with me, he makes an appearance on the show, whether it be with his vocal cords or actually showing up. But, I got to get over there and I got to refill some stuff because I really enjoyed especially the beef sticks. That was a good call by you, Ryan, adding that to my order. And you are a gentleman and a scholar and a man of your words, sir.
Yep. I still have your coffee too. So from our backstop Mendoza line challenge, I have to get that to you very soon, but righteousfelon.com, promo code BELLYUP at checkout, 15% plus free shipping for every order over $50. Combine the free shipping and combine the promo code for more savings. All right. the biggest disappointment from Week 11, and Dustin, I'll have you lead off here. In your eyes, what was the biggest disappointment in Week 11?
Whew, I didn't see much of this game, but man, the Falcons lay another egg. Another egg, which in my opinion, they
No
could have
pun
beat this.
intended.
Yeah. It was a massive bird egg. They could have beaten this Broncos team. Now, that's no disrespect to this Broncos defensive unit. I've been taking Sean Payton to task. Do I hold a little bit of a grudge still? Probably. Yeah. But got to give credit where credit's due. They have really, this Broncos defense, they have returned to form. They have returned to form in a big way. They're one of the best defenses going right now. But also, okay, let's not forget Raheem Morris, for all the firepower that the Falcons purportedly have on offense, whether it be Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts. They have talent, and Kirk Cousins. I mean, their big offseason free agent signing, that some people derided them for. They laid an egg, and Raheem Morris is a defensive coordinator. He's a former defensive coordinator. He's a defensive-minded coach, and he was a great D coordinator for those St. Louis or those. I think it was L.A. Rams. Yeah, it was L.A. Rams by then.
Dustin,
yeah.
we have some breaking news.
Oh wow. Okay.
We got some breaking news, and this may be happening. This may please me. So hold on a second. Breaking news.
All right.
So according to Evan Dralick from The Athletic, and this article was released about half an hour ago while we were vibing, but the headline reads: Major League Baseball plans to create a national packages for major streaming companies to bid to come with those plans, aiming to eliminate local blackouts.
Oh, here we go.
Finally. Oh,
that was worth interjecting for.
yes. Yes.
Because especially since my cable package, I lost MLB Network. I'll call it what it is. I didn't see as much baseball this year, and I missed it.
Mm-hmm.
I missed it.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I grew bored of MLB because I have the MLB TV for free with my my T-Mobile subscription. I wish I had watched more, but it's but this is huge. This is huge, and we may have to do a 10 good minutes on this once I read the article and really dig into it a little bit further. But
all right,
2028, the long national nightmare of blackouts could be over for Major League Baseball. NHL, your move. So that's been our breaking news. But we'll talk about this more. We'll have to do a 10 good minutes segment on this a little bit later. But that's been the breaking news. All right. So sorry. Continue on. I had to celebrate that a little bit more. That's just fantastic news.
Yes. Yes, it's good news. It's good news, but it's not going to take me off my track of taking Raheem Morris to task, because he is a defensive-minded coach, and the Atlanta Falcons acquired Matt Judon from the New England Patriots, or he might have been. Was he a free agent signing?
No, he was traded. He was traded for a package of picks.
Yeah, that's right. Because the Giants wanted Judon as well, from our earlier coverage of the Hard Knocks offseason, which I hope they bring back. I like that show. But the Falcons defense has not been able to stop anybody. They had a rookie quarterback hung it on them. This Falcons team, this was a winnable game, and the Bucks are not going away in the NFC South, and to say less of the Panthers and the Saints.
Although the Saints have won 2 in a row, the new coach bump is starting to work.
They have.
Yeah.
They have. But the Falcons, this division was yours to win with all of the acquisitions. Kirk Cousins, Kirk Two Chains. Sorry about that, Sick. Kirk Two Chains Cousins being acquired. I thought he would take this offense to the next level. And Kevin Wilson saying Pitts has shown more empty results than just about any player. Yeah, I would agree with you because when you draft a tight end that high, the spotlight is on him. The spotlight is on him. But the Falcons still do have some playmakers. I think Bijan is very, very good. When he plays the New Orleans Saints, he's great. So if he could just play against the New Orleans Saints, he'd be made in the shade. But this was a game that they could have won, Ryan. They could have won this game, and to lose in this fashion. Had the Seahawks not beaten the Niners, this would have been my biggest upset because I didn't see this coming.
Yeah. And again, just goes to show you that you can't trust a guy who spells his name Zach, Z-A-C. Just saying, but not saying. Just saying. And as usual, my biggest disappointment, once again, the New York Jets find a new way to lose. And again, their offense was underwhelming in the first half. Didn't come alive until the end of the second quarter, which bled into the second half where, they were playing well, but this cursed offense for some reason just can't seem to get it going in the early onset of the game. And they had this game under rest. I was showing Dustin the score during first intermission of the hockey game when the Jets were up 25-22, and they were driving. They were up 24-22. My apologies. 24-22. And they were driving down the field. And they were bleeding the clock. They had this game under wraps with less than 5 minutes to go, up 5. They're driving. They're at Indy's 17 with 2:44 remaining on fourth and 2. Aaron Rodgers says, "Let's go for it. We're driving. Let's keep this thing going. We're doing pretty good. Let's end this thing. Let's get a touchdown and end this game," because that would have been fait accompli. They would have scored 30 points for the first time this year, or I would have had to drink a hard seltzer at Cool and Sharing Arena, which would have upset me. But they didn't. What'd they do? Jeff Ulbrich said, "Nah, we're going to kick the field goal instead. I got confidence in my defense." The same defense that has been playing not up to their level the last 2 seasons. So they kicked the field goal, and what did the Colts do? Not only that, but they also used their third timeout of the half.
Yeah, they had no
during
timeouts
that drive. They had no timeouts left. They couldn't stop the clock unless there was a 2-minute warning. So Anders Carlson kicks the field goal. They go up by 5. And then the Colts take 6 plays, march it down 70 yards in a minute 55 with Anthony Richardson scoring a touchdown to take the lead. They missed the 2-point conversion as if it would have mattered because the Jets offense fell flat on their faces. Getting the ball back with less than 20 seconds left, 2 sacks later, game's over. And again, the Jets find a new way to lose every single week. And this was basically the game that put a nail in the coffin of one Mr. Joe Douglas, again, who has been MIA since Robert Saleh got fired. Now he's lost his job. And as mentioned at the top of the show, if you want to go listen, go ahead and listen to my analysis, breakdown, reasons, and then, Jets fans being put back into utter despair once again. I hate it.
I was shocked. I was because I feel like when you showed me that score, I said, "Hey, they're trying to save their season," or I said something like that, and I was shocked to see the way the game had ended later. But lucky for you, you were able to drown your sorrows with a nice. What's the signature Pilsner we had?
The Northway Brewing Power Play Pilsner.
Yep. That's what it was. I enjoyed that. That was a great pick.
Yeah.
Great pick.
Thank you. Thank you. It's good stuff. All right. Most notable performance or performances in week 11. And I'm going to give my flowers here to one Mr. Bo Nix, who I think pretty much right now is the leading candidate for AFC Rookie of the Year, with a very impressive game against I wouldn't say, I would say pretty solid Atlanta Falcons defense, especially the secondary. 28 of 33 for 307 yards and 4 touchdowns in this game. And he continues to improve every week. Look, let's put it this way. Right now, Sean Payton nailed that picking Bo Nix in the first round of this year's draft. And it's showing right now. He has some initial hiccups, but over the last couple of weeks, we're seeing him become the quarterback he was. He's Oregon Bo Nix, not Auburn Bo Nix. We saw Auburn Bo Nix early in the season. Now we're seeing Oregon Bo Nix start to flourish right now. And the Broncos right now, they're in the 7th seed in the playoff hunt in the AFC. And it's pretty shocking to see. But when you get that kind of defense putting out that kind of performance against the Atlanta Falcons, who have been shockingly bad on offense last 2 weeks, it's starting to show, and things are turning around in Denver quicker than most people thought. So
Yeah.
I gotta give my flowers to Bo Nix here. So what about you, Dustin? Your most notable performance of week number 11?
All right. Well, there was a few to pick from. Bo Nix, his stats jumped off the page, to use an old expression. And really, I could pick the entire Detroit Lions team, but I'm not going to go that route, even though the entire offense, they broke their own record. They went for 645 yards of total offense, but I'm picking out one specific performance from that offense, and it's Amon-Ra St. Brown. When he is involved in the offense, when he is a focal point and actively involved, and they get him involved early, the Lions are a different team. They're good without him if he's kind of like a non-factor, or he's not used, or he's kind of taken out. But when he is the focal point or a focal point of this offense, they become a great team. He had 11 receptions for 161 yards and 2 touchdowns. And again, it's not just because of what he did on the field. It's because the dynamic that he brings to the Lions offense when he is actively involved. They look different with him. He opens up other things for the offense. And it was just an amazing performance all around by the Lions. But I got to give the hat tip to Amon-Ra St. Brown, a.k.a. the Sun God. Got to give it to him.
All right, let's wrap things up with the hottest individual take from week 11 of the NFL. Dustin, I'm going to hand it over to you. What was your hottest individual takeaway from this week in the NFL?
All right. Well, this my hot take kind of comes from what I think some people saw as a big upset, and I think I am one of them. I don't think it wasn't as big of an upset as some of these other ones, but who are the Baltimore Ravens? They seem to have a problem, and I don't think it's on Lamar. That's the thing. I'm not going to sit here and heap it on Lamar. That's not where I'm going. But in the Lamar Jackson era, they seem to have this problem where they do one of 3 things, okay? They either play down to their competition and lose baffling games. I'm looking at you losing to the Raiders in week 2 or 3?
Week 2, yeah. Week 2.
They should not have lost that game against the Raiders, the Gardner Minshew-led Raiders at the time, okay? Or they bafflingly start using different game plans than what they've done all year to get to the point of success, where they had that baffling offensive game plan where they just stopped running Lamar Jackson and doing designed runs for him or option plays to help open up the field. And still, they let the Chiefs win that AFC championship game last year. That was their own fault. The Baltimore Ravens, one of the most potent offenses last year, on the shoulders of Lamar Jackson, only managed 10 points, and the Chiefs could only score 14. The defense had them stymied. It's part of the reason Mike McDonald got the job in Seattle, because of that defensive performance of that Baltimore defense last year. So that's another thing. Todd Monken and John Harbaugh seemingly abandoned the offensive game plan that got them there to that point. And then the third thing is they can't seem to get it together. They lose these I don't want to say primetime games, but they lose these games that they have to win by shooting themselves in the foot. Derrick Henry never fumbles. He fumbled for the first time on the opening drive, the first time in 538 touches for the Steelers to get the ball, and the Steelers ended up scoring off of that, if I do remember. And then you had Justin Tucker, who's about as automatic as a kicker can get. He's missed 2 field goals in this game. I don't know what it is about the Lamar Jackson led and John Harbaugh coached Ravens. They're starting to get this feel to me like a team that can never win the big games, or they play down to their competition, or they just don't get the job done when they need to, or they change up game plans for no reason. Like I don't understand it. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a coaching thing, because it seems to transcend, different coordinators at different times and different players, but it's very baffling. I can't get a sense of this Ravens team, because they should be one of the tops in the NFL, but they do this. They do things like this.
This is one of the games during the middle of the season, over the last couple of seasons, that you're wondering why they lost.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're starting to stumble still a little bit. So we talked about this. I said I thought the Ravens were going to be the best team in the AFC. Based on how they were just being opponents, and questionable, and a couple of questionable wins for Kansas City. They're no longer undefeated, and somewhere in heaven, Mercury Morris is popping champagne because of it. But they've had a couple of losses, and this one was a tough loss, and they still have to. I think they still have to play the Steelers again at some point during the year. So, yeah, this is definitely one of those losses where you're like, okay, this was a winnable game, and unfortunately for them, it's back to the drawing board and see what they can do. So, yeah, so they lost to the Browns a few weeks back. Beat the Broncos, beat the Bengals, and they lost to the Steelers. So they got to play the Steelers one more time on December 21st, and that's going to be a heck of a game, because it's going to be in Baltimore. So, we'll see what kind of team they are on that week. So, yeah, definitely some interesting times in Baltimore, and it's always the chalk line bowl that seems to bring out the best in both teams. It's always a defensive battle, and this game was no exception either.
Yeah, and you had Patrick Queen, who's now on the Steelers side of that rivalry.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's for sure. All right, my hottest individual takeaway from Week 11, Julie from Michigan. If you're still watching, this is why I throw flowers to your Lions. I'm reacting to, so we had a gentleman towards the end of our show on Saturday say that the Eagles were, and he was an Eagles fan, so you could tell. He said that the Eagles were the best team in the NFC. And we both said, yes, but also no, because the Lions, their record being at that point 8-1, we said they were the best team. During the show, while the show was ending, he came back with another comment saying that this Eagles team beat the Lions 2 years ago. That was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That was 2 years ago when they missed the playoffs. They had an outside chance of missing the playoffs, and they missed the playoffs. Last year, they went to the playoffs and were one were half away from going to their first ever Super Bowl. So, to that gentleman, if you're watching, yes, the Eagles are the NFC's best team after the Detroit Lions. They have been on a rampage with a 7-game winning streak. They have been beating teams. They've just been, their schedule has been unbelievable. They beat Minnesota in a wild game where they were actually up in that game. They were up 2 touchdowns and they had a pick 6 and then it was a fumble, and then the Vikings tied the game, but then they left too much time on the clock for Jared Goff to help the Lions drive down the field, and then got the field goal. Then they go into Green Bay, and what was sure to be a very interesting game, which would be a very close game, they win by 10, but the scoreline, the stat sheet, doesn't reflect what they did to the Green Bay Packers. And they've also they destroyed the Cowboys. They destroyed the Titans. Even though they spotted the Titans 14 points, they outscored them. I think outscored them 38-0 after that.
Yeah.
And then this week, they absolutely destroy the Jaguars. Now, granted, this is a Jaguars team they're not very good. And they had Mac Jones in their lineup, and Mac Jones, as we can see, was vastly overrated when he was drafted in the first round by the Patriots in 2021. We'll have to do a redux on that draft. Oy, yeah. Goodness gracious. But this Lions team, they could potentially run the table with 7 games remaining, because I'm going to compare the schedules between the Lions and the Eagles going up for the next 7 weeks. So this week they're at Indy, which could be a trap game, but especially with Alex Anzalone, his injury, he broke his arm in that game against the Jaguars. But I think they're hoping he'll be back for their game against Buffalo. But this week they're at Indy, then they're at home for 3 games against Chicago on Thanksgiving, Green Bay, and Buffalo in a potential Super Bowl preview. Who saw that coming?
Yeah.
Then they have 2 away in Chicago and San Francisco, which could be another trap game considering what happened in the events of last year's NFC Championship. But you're facing a depleted San Francisco 49ers lineup. Then they wrap up the season against Minnesota. The Eagles, however, their next 2 games are at LA against the Rams, and then at Baltimore, which will be another heavyweight fight for sure. Then they're at home against Carolina and Pittsburgh. Carolina, we know who they are. Pittsburgh, that could be another heavyweight matchup.
Yeah.
Then they follow that with a trip to Washington. Then the last 2 home games of the year are against Dallas and the Giants. I could see the Lions winning at least 6 of those games. I think the Indy game is a trap game. I think that San Francisco game could also be a trap game. But on the flip side, I see the Eagles winning maybe 4 to 5 of those games. And if things go the way I think they're going to go, Detroit has home field advantage for the playoffs. If you're a Lions fan right now, you should be very, very excited. Very excited for the rest of the season. Hopefully they won't have any more injuries, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They're optimistic if they run the table and they go to the Super Bowl, they'll have Aiden Hutchinson back. I don't think it's going to happen. And Alex Anzalone does come back in the next 4 to 6 weeks. Hopefully, but they're saying that he might be back for Buffalo. I mean, the Lions offensively have been just absolutely killing KILLING teams this season on the offensive side of the ball. They're I won't say this. They don't dare to say this. They're historically good because, at least in team history, yes, they're that good. Jared Goff has unbelievable numbers right now. Looking at his stat line, he is currently his completion percentage is 73%. For 2000 is 191 for 270, 2,492 yards, and 20 touchdowns compared to 9 interceptions. He's only been sacked 8 times this year.
Well, and here's the other thing, Ryan. He's got 9 picks. 5 of them came
5 of them
in
were
the game
one game.
before this one.
Yeah, so he technically really only has 4 interceptions on the year. Granted, that one fluky game in Houston from 2 weeks back, but you've also got a double-headed rushing attack with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery.
Yeah.
And it's just this Lions team on offense is incredible. Defensively, like I said, they've had their share of injuries, but they've still been playing really, really well. So you're going to see 2 of those names, their coordinators, Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson, could potentially be NFL coaches at this time next year.
Yeah.
But these next 7 weeks for the Lions, it's exciting times, but also kind of curious to see what the Eagles do on the flip side, because we talked about them on Saturday. We said that their offense is no longer going through Jalen Hurts; it's going through Saquon Barkley. He's the focal point of this offense now, and you said it too. You said don't sleep on the running back position. The running back position is not dead in the NFL, and you've got one great running back in Philadelphia and Saquon Barkley, and you've got two running backs who are outstanding in Detroit with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. So if you're a Lions fan, get excited. Good for you. Get excited. I envy you because I thought my Jets would be in this position right now, but unfortunately, it is the way it is. But I'm secretly cheering for the Detroit Lions for the rest of the year because I want to see what they do, and I'm excited for Detroit. So good for them.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's get to some comments before. I'm not sure if you guys thought about the Lions before we wrap things up here.
No, I mean you summed it up. You summed it up perfectly. And the only thing that I would add is they've proven that even when they kind of lay an egg a little bit, they're still gritty enough to win those kind of games. So they have the mental aspect of even when they're on the ropes a little bit, they know they can win. So they're looking like the class of the NFL right now.
For sure. All right, we're going to do a couple comments before we get out of here. We can't read everyone, but because we have a lot of comments coming in tonight. Thanks to everyone who's participated. One of them being Wonka the saying, your team's best win is an upset when 99% of the reporting is about how badly the other team blew it. Interesting take.
Yeah.
He also says, hot takes, Seattle to the playoffs with a losing record.
It's happened before, Wonko. You know it, and I know it. I still want that 7-9 NFC West Division Championship hat.
Yeah. Our friend Dave saying Mercy Rule needs to be enacted. Nope. These guys are professionals. Play like it.
Yeah. They can
I don't care if it's 28-3 and the Lions have 19 first half first downs. Something like that. Incredible statistic. Your Uncle Al saying Browns, Raiders, Giants. Who is the best 2-8 team?
I give it to the Browns. Sorry, Uncle Al, but the Browns have some offensive talent, and dare I say it, they look a little better with Jameis back there, and their defense is good. I mean, the Giants got a great pass rush. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah,
but I give it to the Browns.
I will say this: Hey, Tommy Cutlets is coming back.
Thanksgiving!
Thanksgiving's gonna be lit.
Yeah.
Tommy DeVito versus Cooper Rush or Trey Lance.
Yeah. Is everybody? Everybody's gonna have. What time is that game, Ryan? What time is
That's
it?
a 4:30 game, I think, because Lions Bears is 12:30.
Yeah,
and Cowboys Giants is 4:30, I want to say, and Dolphins whoever they're playing that night. Was it Dolphins Steelers?
Oh, maybe
on
I don't
Thanksgiving
know.
night. Hang on, I'll check the schedule.
Yeah, everybody's gonna be. I think everybody's gonna be sitting down to watch the Lions game.
Dolphins Packers.
Oh, Dolphins Packers. Okay, Dave's Packers going out there. But I will say, Oh man, I think everybody's going to be scheduling their dinner around that Giants Cowboys barn burner.
Yeah, for sure. Dave, who's we know is a Green Bay Packers fan, saying Love was hurting still. Just wait.
He's going to throw some bad interceptions, Dave. It's what he's doing this year.
Yep, that's what he does. And Wonko saying, "Cool show. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Wonko, for stopping by. We appreciate you and everyone in the comments for being here, for checking in live. So, we appreciate you. But we're gonna dodge on out of here. For some reason, it won't disappear. Come on, hide. Oh, and Dave's saying yes. It's stuck anyway. All right, we're gonna get out of here. But before we do, just want to remind you about our social media channels, which are right. Nothing will. No, I'm not stuck. All right. Well, anyway, social media: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Skissies, TikTok. Just search No Creds REQ. Get notified on Twitter and on YouTube. And on the podcast side, rate and review, 5-star rating, all that stuff. Leave a review. If you're watching on replay on Rumble or YouTube or Twitter or Instagram, or not Instagram, Facebook, just leave us a comment. Comments.
Yeah, comments are welcome. I'm not sure if we're still live. I don't know what happened. I don't know where Ryan went. I don't know if we're having technical difficulties here or his internet. Something happened. I don't know if I can. Oh, here we go.
Yeah,
I was like, I don't know if I can end the show.
No, something happened with my internet. I'm not really sure what happened, but all of a sudden StreamYard said something is wrong. It disconnected.
Oh man.
Here, and Sick Diggy is just giving laugh emojis. Dave asked, "Where did my guy go?" I'm like, "I'm here. I'm here."
Yeah.
Stupid StreamYard. All right, we're gonna get out of here, but be back with us on Saturday morning, 10 o'clock Eastern time. We'll talk Thursday night football. We'll talk week 11, and we'll talk week 12 of the NFL. God, week 12 already.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh, this season's almost over soon. The Jets aren't playing, so they can't hurt me this week. I can enjoy football stress-free. So Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll catch you on Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern. And until then, have a great day. Have a great night. And we'll talk to you on Saturday morning.
Good night, everybody.